The group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington has just filed a complaint with the Louisiana Bar, the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, and it's against Republican Senator David Vitter. David Vitter is most famous as the family values conservative senator who admitted to being a client of the D.C. Maddow prostitution ring. The new Bar Association complaint against Senator Vitter points out that patronizing prostitutes is a crime in Louisiana, that Senator Vitter admitted to that crime, and that committing a crime, especially one that reflects adversely on the lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer, is in the definition of professional misconduct for a Louisiana lawyer. So far, Senator Vitter has been able to get away with admitting to be a client of a prostitution ring without facing criminal charges, without an ethics investigation of him in the Senate, and without any consequences for his career as a lawyer. Senator Vitter has not only been able to get away with it thus far, he's even running for re-election in Louisiana right now. And he's had the chutzpah to put pictures of his family back into his campaign materials for this election cycle, so as to demonstrate, presumably, to Louisiana voters his personal family values. Because Senator Vitter is running for re-election, this is a very uncomfortable time for Senator Vitter to see his name back in the paper, back in the news again, next to words like hooker, prostitute, madam. In terms of the timing, Senator Vitter might not be facing this kind of ethics hassle over his history with prostitutes right now if he had not recently been standing in his glass brothel throwing stones at the community group Acorn. When conservative activists invented a fake prostitution ring and then went from Acorn office to Acorn office with a hidden camera trying to get employees to say something about the fake prostitution ring that would play well on Fox News, Senator Vitter took the lead in condemning Acorn for the resulting tape. He called first for congressional hearings, and then he called for a criminal investigation. Quote, "The recent reports and video footage of Acorn workers from various cities and states giving how-to instructions on carrying out crimes warrants an immediate RICO investigation into Acorn. But definitely not an investigation into me." Senator Vitter's Democratic opponent for the Senate is Charlie Melanson. He responded to the Crew complaint against Vitter by saying, quote, "What David Vitter confessed to wasn't just a serious sin, it was likely a crime. And so far, Vitter hasn't been charged with anything. He's still got his law license. He's still a U.S. Senator. A man's sin is his own. And with this complaint, Vitter may finally have to answer for his actions. But I'll tell you this, I cannot sit idly by and let this man represent Louisiana in the U.S. Senate." Joining us now is Melanie Sloan. She's the executive director of Crew, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Ms. Sloan, thanks very much for your time tonight.
Oh, nice to be here.
Am I right that the timing here is not because there's any new information about Senator Vitter and prostitution, but it's because he's inveighing against other people and prostitutes now?
Of course. It's because the hypocrisy is astonishing and really can't be stomached. And it is just the height of irony for Mr. Vitter to be the one of all the senators in the United States Senate to decide he should be the guy to take on the issue of Acorn and prostitution, given his background. It's like he thinks we'll all just forget about it and it can go away. But if he can go out against Acorn for its role in a fake prostitution ring, I certainly think his role with a real prostitution ring, and at least one, because there may be as many as two others that we know about, that certainly warrants investigation as well.
Well, your organization had filed a complaint against Senator Vitter with the Senate Ethics Committee about this prostitution admission a year or two ago. Did the Ethics Committee just sit on that and never do anything about it, or did they actively dismiss that complaint?
Oh, no, they actively dismissed that complaint because they said Senator Vitter wasn't a senator at the time he'd engaged in that conduct. He was a member of the House of Representatives, though, but they thought they couldn't do anything because of that. And, of course, the House, well, they didn't have any jurisdiction because he was no longer a House member.
That's very convenient.
It is.
What is your expectation about how the Louisiana Bar will respond to this new complaint?
Well, it's really hard to know, but the bar ethics are pretty clear. Committing a crime is professional misconduct, and Mr. Vitter clearly committed a crime. He was on the prosecution's witness list in the trial of the D.C. Madam after his phone number was found on her call list. So we know at least he was involved in that prostitution ring, and there's also been allegations that he was involved in a brothel called the Canal Street Brothel brothel in New Orleans. And then a woman named Wendy Cortez, another prostitute in New Orleans, said he was a frequent client of hers. So that suggests there may be as many as 3. And if there are 3, there may well be others. And that's a crime. Soliciting for prostitution isn't just a serious sin, but an actual crime. And it's pretty appalling that Mr. Vitter, as a lawyer who's sworn to uphold the law, was committing crimes, and much less as a U.S. senator who swore to uphold the Constitution, committed those crimes. But at the same time, as bad as all that is, he wants to inveigh against other organizations who weren't involved in prostitution and ask for criminal investigations. So if he's going to get a criminal investigation there, or if he's just even going to ask for one, it certainly seems fair to demand that Mr. Vitter be held to account for his crimes.
Well, Senator Vitter responded to your complaint to the Louisiana bar by saying that your organization, Crew, is biased, that you're pro-Democrat and you're pro-Acorn. I have to ask for your response to that.
Well, sure. I think Mr. Vitter may have forgotten that Crew has gone after a couple of other Louisiana politicians, Democratic Senator Mary Landrieu and Democratic former Representative William Jefferson. We also recently put out our most corrupt list, something we do every year, and this year we had 8 Democrats on the list and 7 Republicans. We're a nonpartisan organization, but one of the things we hate the most is hypocrisy, and David Vitter really tops the list.
We have done a number of reports on the attacks on this organization, Acorn, in the last week. We've done sort of every night for the last 4 or 5 nights, I think. And the reason we've done that is because it seems to me that for all of Acorn's faults, they are being attacked for hypocritical reasons. They're being attacked for things that other people, even their accusers, are getting away with. Obviously, there's a lot that Acorn has done that doesn't deserve defending and that is indefensible. But do you agree with, I guess, my premise for looking into these attacks on Acorn, that some of the things that they've been saying, or that their critics have been saying are inexcusable, are things that other people have been allowed to get away with?
Well, when David Vitter is accusing groups like Crew of playing politics, that's exactly what they're doing with this Acorn situation. They've hated Acorn for a long time. They've been going after it for a very long time, and now they just finally have something to actually go after it against. It's much like when we had President Clinton. They had an impeachment resolution long before there was Monica Lewinsky. It's something they've been looking to do, and this is just a great excuse for them to go after Acorn. And Crew is in no way defending Acorn. Its conduct here was indefensible, but so is Senator Vitter's. And I'd also like to point out that you talked about Richard Berman earlier. Crew has long been trying to expose Richard Berman. We have a website, in fact, called BermanExposed.org, where we talk about all of the different groups he's the executive director of and all of the expertise he has from areas from both health and consumer safety to drunk driving to unions and now to things like Acorn.
Well, he has agreed to come on this show next week, and I hope that he will still agree to come on the show next week, even though we've been talking about him a lot. Maybe we could get you on the show that hour as well, and we could all have a big kumbaya moment.
It would be quite a moment, but kumbaya probably isn't the word to describe it.
Fair enough. Melanie Sloan, Executive Director of Crew, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, a nonpartisan watchdog group. Thanks very much for your time tonight.
Thanks.